Hello, welcome back. I'm Andreas, your tech-curious web designer. So far we have seen how we can build a public chat with Django channels and HTMX. This chat is accessible to everyone who's logged into the app. Now let's create a private chat, so basically a direct message feature where we can chat with one other person only, one-to-one. So if you're intrigued how we can do this, join me in this video. But to kick things off, as always, a quick shout out to my new supporters on Patreon. A high five to Dimitri. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And also a big thanks to all the amazing people who support me with this channel. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. Okay, and now let's get started. First, a quick demo what we're going to build. So if I would like to have a private chat with Pete here, I will click on this Chat with Me button. And with this, I created now a new private chat. Let's say hello. And now I open up a new window and log in with Pete. And if we click on chat, we get a drop-down menu and we see we have a private chat with Bobby. The gray dot turned green now because we have users online now. And Bobby replies, "What's up?" Okay, let's build this now. So first let's modify our chat group model class to allow the creation of private chat rooms and to add members. So let's go to our models to by file in the chat folder. Here I have my chat group class, and because we will create new chat rooms dynamically, I want to define a default group name. So comma here, default equals, and we could use here the UUID for example, but a more simple identifier is short UUID. So while UUID has 32 characters with dashes, short UUID is shorter with only 22 characters. And is suited to make a more user-friendly URL. Short UUID.UUID. Now this is not a standard package, so we need to install it. I shut down the server, then pip install short UUID, and import this package to this file. Import short UUID. Alright. Next, let's add members as a property, which in a private chat room has 2 users. Here we have again a many-to-many field with a user class. I give it the related name of chat groups, and it can be blank. For example, our public chat will not have members. And as last, I also add a Boolean field to check if this chat group is private. So is private by default is set to false. Alright, save this file. Let's migrate those changes now to the database. So first Python manage.py make migrations. Then Python manage.py migrate. And then we spin up the server with Python manage.py run server. Alright, our database is set up. Now, how can we create a private chat room on the website? So for this, I will use a button on the profile page. So I'm going to the users folder here, to templates and profile.html, and just underneath the profile info here, I'm adding this button. This button says chat with me. It will point to a start chat URL, which we will create in a second. And we pass through the username as an argument. Let's hide this button now when the user is on his own profile page to prevent making a chat with itself. So in here, So show this button only if the profile user is not the logged in user. And close it with endif. Okay, save this file. Now let's create the URL patterns. So I'm going to the urls.py file in my chat folder. Then I add here the start chat path. So if somebody clicks this link, I want to call this function, the get or create chatroom function. We will add this function in a second. But basically this function will check if a private chat room with this person already exists. In that case, I will request the chat group object, or if the chat room doesn't exist, to create this chat room. And when we have a chat room, I want the user to be redirected to that chat room. So I'm adding here another path now. With the chat room name, it's calling the chat view function, the same function we're calling on our homepage, and give this URL the link chat room. Okay, save this file. And let's create this get or create chat room function now. So I'm going to my views.py file, and just underneath the chat view function, I add the get or create chat room function, which has username as a parameter. As a note here, to make sure only logged in users can create and access this chat room, add also the login required decorator. And as very first here, I make sure that if users try to make a chat room with themselves, they are redirected to the homepage. And now with the username argument, let's fetch the user object and bind it to a variable called other user. As next, I'm checking if a chat room with the logged in user and this other user already exists. For this, I'm fetching all the private chat rooms of the logged in user and call it my chat rooms. Then first, I'm checking if there are any private chat rooms. And if they exist, I'm looping through them now with for chat room in my chat rooms. And check if the other user is member of this chat room. And if we have a match, I assign the chat room to a chat room variable and break out of the loop. Alright, so this is the scenario when the chat room exists. Now let's add the logic when the chat room doesn't exist. So else. With this code, I create a new chat room and set the property is private to true. And then I'm adding the members. So chatroom.members.add the other user and the logged in user. Okay, so this was for the case that we have private chat rooms. Else, we create a chat room. And it's basically the same code as here. Copy those two lines and add it in here. Like that. Okay, and when we have the chatroom object, we want to redirect the user to this chatroom page. I'm using now the chatroom path and add the chatroom group name as the argument. Alright. Now we want to use the same chatView function to display the private chatroom as we do with the public chatroom. So we need to adjust it for both cases. We need to add here the parameter now for the chat group name. So if there is no chatroom name provided, we set a default value of public chat. And I'm adding the chat name variable to the group name here. Okay, now when I have a private chat, I want to show the information of the other user. So let's add this variable. And by default, it is set to none. So if this chat group is private, meaning we will have another user. So here then as very first I will make sure that the logged in user has permission to access this chat group, and if not, show a 404 page. With raise HTTP 404. Let's import this function to this file. So from Django.http import HTTP 404. And now I'm looping through all the members, which in our case are only 2, to get the other user. So if the member is not the logged in user, we found our other user and we're breaking out of the loop. Alright. So with this code now we define the other user and can display it in the template. Let's add now this variable to the context. So before the return statement here, I'm adding the context variable. So first we add chat messages and the form. Then also the other user. And I'm also adding the chat group name, which we will need to establish the WebSocket connection. Alright. And now I'm adding the context to the return statement. Save this file. Okay, and next let's adjust the template. So I'm going to my chat.html file, in the templates folder, and then where we establish the WebSocket connection. So instead of hard coding here public chat, we're going to use the dynamic chatroom name variable. Like that. And I also want to show the other user in my chat window header. So this is the online count for our public chat. So I'm adding here a condition. So if we have another user, so if other user is not none, that means we have a private chat room. We will add here the other user information in a second. Else, I'm showing the online count. And close it with endif. So here I'm adding this code now, which displays the other user in the chat window header. You can grab the code from my GitHub repository. This links to the profile page of this user. It shows the user avatar image, the display name and the username. Alright, save this file and let's check it out. So I'm going to my browser, to localhost :8000. Here we are in our public chat. So if I want to have a private conversation now with Bobby, I will click on Bobby's avatar here. This is Bobby's profile page. We have this private chat button here now. And if I click this button, we have created a new private chat. And we can see the name of this chat is this string here. This is the short UUID. Alright, let's add a message to Bobby. Hello Bobby. But it seems like I have an error here. The message is not sent. Let's investigate. And indeed we have an error message showing up here. And this roundhouse.proxy.railway tells me we're still connected to Redis from the last video. So let's change that. In development, I want to use the in-memory channel layer. So I'm going to my core folder, to settings.py. Here we can see Redis is active. Let's comment this one out and activate our in-memory channel layer instead. Alright, save this file. Now back to the browser. I refresh the page and try it again. And indeed, now it works. As next, I would like to see if Bobby is actually online or not. So I want to add a gray or green dot to this chat window as well. So back to the chat.html file. So just in here, I'm adding this line, so with the ID online icon, and I'm using here the gray dot class, which is a custom class we will add to our CSS styles now, and it signals that the user is offline. This gray dot will be replaced with a green dot when a user is online. So let's define it in our CSS styles. And all my CSS styles are at the moment still in the base.html file, so let's go there. In the templates, base.html, and here in the head I have my CSS styles. So at the very bottom here, I add some styles for a green dot, which is rounded with a green background and a padding, a gray dot for a darker background, and a gray light dot for white background. Okay, save this file. We can close it. I also saved the chat.html file. Now let's update also the HTMX partial we get from the backend. So in partials, this is the online count. And here we have the condition if there is an online count, meaning we have another user online. In that case, we want to switch to a green dot. I add the green dot class here and can get rid of the classes in the back. Like that. And here I add the gray dot class. Alright, that should work. Okay, save this file and let's check it out. I refresh the page and I see the gray dot. And now let's add Bobby to this chat and we should see a green dot. Okay, Bobby is now logged in. Let's go to home. So this is the public chat with no other person online. Now to join this private chat with Bobby, we could share the link or press the chat button on the profile page. And great, we joined now the same chat room. And I can reply here. What's up? Alright. Now to access all my chats more conveniently, I want to add them to my header navigation. For this, let's create now a drop-down menu. I'm going to the header.html file, which is in the templates folder, includes header.html. And instead of home here, I'm adding this code snippet here, displaying a drop-down menu. And my supporters can grab this code from patreon.com/AndreasChat. So we have here the link to the public chat. And the other link is to a private chat room and displaying the other member's name. Let's add the missing logic now. So I'm creating a loop here now. So for chat room in user.chatgroups.all. So this is looping now through all the chat rooms the logged in user is a member of. Then I'm checking if this chat group is indeed private. Then I'm looping through all the members. So for member in chat room members.all. Then I'm looking for the member who is not the logged in user. And this is the user now I would like to display in my list. With member.profile.name. Alright. Let's close here now the if statements and the for loops. And we are done. So let's save this file and check it out. I refresh the page. And as we can see, we have a chat drop-down menu now, with the public chat and the private chat with Bobby. Awesome. The same goes for the other window. I refresh the page, and Bobby has a private chat with the admin. And if I switch to public chat here, we can see we have a gray dot on this chat window now, and when we switch back, it turns green again. Okay, great. We implemented now successfully a private chat with one other user. In the next video, we will see how we can build a group chat, where we can invite people to a chat group by sharing a link. I'm looking forward to see you again soon. Until then, stay curious, my friends, and ciao ciao for now.